level, but their early game seem weaker. Now, this is a map that's very momentum-based. The early game matters at all. What do you think we're going to be seeing from Donkeys R Us in the draft to like kind of swing this game in their favor? Because this is a best of 3 for those who are just tuning in. This is not a best of 5. This is match point for Naventic.
Yeah, so Naventic's looking for a win here to close it out. It's their map. We're going to have to see how Donkeys starts the draft off because there are just so many strategies viable on this map. Some teams really value the global to split soak during the immortal phase. Some teams really value all-inning on the immortal with high damage. And I don't know Donkeys R Us's preferences.
Right.
I don't know what kind of
Are they an Abathur team, Jake?
They will play Abathur from time to time.
Abathur's still popular on this map, right?
Occasionally. We've seen some teams have success with it.
I don't know what they're going to do. I've seen them go full-on team fight. I've seen them go full-on PvE. When it comes to BOE, it's not like they're super, like, it's not like a free draft. This is how they like to play the game. There are a lot of veteran players, and although they are one of the amateur teams playing in this cup, they're very much flexible in their drafts.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
coming
first
down to the
ban.
wire here on the first ban.
It's going to be Genji.
Not willing to deal with that Genji even after the nerfs.
I mean, would you be willing to?
If I had a plan, maybe.
That's okay. That's a very vague but safe answer. I like it. Tassadar banned here on the end of Naventic. Now, we just saw iDream have a very fantastic Tassadar game. What is your thoughts on the first ban for Tassadar? Why would they be targeting it this early on Battlefield? Just for the vision?
Vision control is nice, but overall I think Tassadar is just one of the most powerful heroes in the game right now.
Always.
He just enables so many compositions.
Go away, Tassadar. Get out of here.
Yeah. He fell out of the meta for a short time, and then he just got
short.
another kind of slight rework, slight buff from Blizzard after his first rework didn't work out quite so well this year, and now he's back. So what I would like to see is some Stukov. I don't know if either of these teams are comfortable with it. I don't know if they have any experience with it, but he's available. I want to see some Stukov play. I think he's fantastic.
What are your opinions of him on this map? Since you were saying earlier.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't add very much to the immortal DPS. In
Yeah.
complete honesty, but there are choke points where the lurking arm can get insane value. You think about some of those BOE choke points you're trying to funnel in and defend or attack an immortal, and just one of the lane's sides is completely blocked off. It's tough to play around that.
So this patch, we just had those recent Uther nerfs. Still, first pick priority, though, here for Donkeys R Us. He did make it through the picks last game to the mid-tier bans and got banned out there. So that's possibly why Donkeys R Us are prioritizing him so early.
Yep, Uther, just like Tassadar, is one of those heroes right now that enables a lot of strategies that aren't really available to you if you don't have him. Naventic, most likely going to be looking for a more sustained damage-oriented composition to exploit Uther's weaknesses if he's solo healer. But for now, they're just picking up arguably the best global and the best primary tank in the game in the current state of balance. Stitches, pretty much considered the best tank. Dahaka, pretty much considered the best global.
Now, when we saw game number 1, the B-Kid and Zuna kind of swapping roles, right? Zuna's clearly liking the Stitches right now.
Yeah.
This is just double tank for them. And getting those comfort picks you mentioned, just, the impact a Hook can have when you're fighting over the Immortal. The impact Dahaka has in the rotations. Like, even when you think you're safe, just kind of lingering around your own Immortal, Race Car Dahaka with the tongue is actually terrifying.
Yeah. And I believe you said it earlier, too. Like, just having any global on this map is always prioritized. So, Dahaka's just as silly as Uther, silly as Tassadar. He's really good. There we go. We're seeing the Oriole again here with the Arthas. This time it's not solo support Oriole. You're talking about the weaknesses there. The only saving ability she has is also her only cleansing ability, which is her ult, Crystal Aegis. So now you can focus a little bit more on just the sustained fight here now that Uther's got that. Oh snap, someone just got hook dragged. I had the Divine Shield to save them. Then you have your Oriole to follow up and top everyone off.
Absolutely. And Vala is now pretty much something that Donkeys is saying, okay, either you have to ban or pick Vala because we have indicated that we would really like it. We're comfortable using the Gul'dan as a battery, but Vala on this map just crushes the Immortals if she goes Q build. So Naventic's going to have to consider that when they're thinking about their ban and upcoming 2 picks here, since they do still need all of their backline heroes.
Does Donkeys... never mind. Cassia ban?
Yeah. I mean, Cassia's just one of those amazing batteries for Ariel. And the thing about Vala is you look at Vala as being one of those other really good options for this map. However, when you're building Vala for Ariel, you're building Vala sustain damage because you want consistent energy building in. When you play in BOE, commonly you want to go for the Monster Hunter style. But so some players will actually get tricked into thinking Monster Hunter is like the one and only way to play it on this map. And it's actually a common thing I've seen when people watching this map. If you see a Vala on BOE playing the auto attack, just sustain DPS, that's for Ariel. And when you draft Ariel Vala, that's far more important than throwing a Q on an Immortal.
Yeah. That aspect is important. We'll have to see if Naventic falls for it and picks the Vala of their own.
Well, last ban here for Donkeys R Us. They have the Cassia denied from them, and they're going to go ahead and ban Stukov.
Interesting. I like that ban, actually. Well, I kind of hate it because I want to see Stukov.
Yeah, right.
But I like the ban conceptually from Donkeys because they're representing a double healer composition, and they have Arthas, who's one of the slower fighters on the front line. He doesn't hard engage on someone, really. He doesn't dive the back line and blow someone up. So Donkeys would have a really hard time dealing with the massive sustain healing of Stukov, and Stukov's both of his ults are fantastic against Arthas. Arthas has no way to interrupt the flailing swing, and it completely disrupts his playstyle. Or the massive shove, Arthas has no mobility to get back in range of the enemy team if he is shoved away on a long-distance shove. So I think Arthas is one of the tanks who's weakest against Stukov, and looks like Donkeys R Us has identified that and decided to ban it out.
No, so we've got the Cassia banned, right? And we have the Luminara and Vala picked up by Naventic. That's 3 really good combos with the Oreo. Definitely seems like that's what Naventic was trying to do, shut down the Oreo combo there. What damage dealers do you expect to see coming out from Donkeys now?
Well, I'm kind of surprised that Greymane is still available this late in the draft. I wonder if Naventic maybe focused a little too much on denying the Ariel battery. And both of these heroes are fantastic for Naventic in the Immortal race, and in general on this map. Ooh, a little bit of an unconventional comp here.
That's Donkeys, though.
Donkeys, yeah.
I mean, LZ Gamer loves the mouthfeel. Li Ming is great for the poke and is
She's a serviceable Ariel battery, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, you're not upset if you have the battery coming from Li Ming. It's just it's not ideal, though.
I like that.
It's really not ideal. So Naventic definitely put the hurt on Donkey's composition with this, but I do like the late game Uther Ariel Malthael. I think once Malthael hits 16, he's actually a very efficient battery in team fights. And Uther makes sure he doesn't get burst down. So I like this little twist at the end of Donkey's draft.
Well, one last pick here on the side of Naventic. They've got Vala, they've got Lunar, they've got all the damage in the world. They need a healer. We're looking at the options that still exist. Malfurion seems like a pretty likely pick. They do have Rhaegar. Rhaegar is probably a little bit better for the map overall, but I just like the synergy with Malfurion, Stitches, Dahaka. Having that route as a follow-up to things like Hook and Drag is really quite nice, and they will go for the Malf.
Yeah, so opting for a sustain healer despite the Stukov ban.
I mean, a few things. Like, A, we've all been pretty impressed overall. I mean, I feel like most people overall have been impressed with how fast Tomster is growing as a support player. He's definitely been making plays.
Yeah.
And in that last game, the only fight that didn't go in his favor was that one top lane where he got his silence interrupted and then he eyed the ice block and couldn't get off that last second. But I don't know, we've seen that Tomster's pretty great at Malfurion, so
should be a good one.
Should be great.
Should be good, man.
I mean, yeah, I think Naventic has the composition that's just a little bit stronger overall, but if this gets to the late game and it's still even, then Donkeys has an unbelievable team fight. It's just getting to that point with the composition I think might be tough, since the double healer is pretty weak at defending the Immortals if Naventic gets a large Immortal.
Well, guys, we're going into game number 2 here. This is match point for Naventic in our first series of the day. Can they close this out on Battlefield Eternity, or will Donkeys R Us turn around? Let's get started. Jake, take it away with those introductions.
On the blue hand side, currently up 1-0. It's Naventic, looking pretty after game 1 Arena. iDream going to be there playing the Vala. Biggie on Lunara. Tomster now playing the support and looking really good in the spot, playing Malfurion. Zuna been playing Stitches 2 games in a row now, and then B-Kid on the Dahaka.
And on the right side of the map, in the red trunks, down 0-1, it is Donkeys R Us, LC Gamer on the Malthel with that sad cloud. We got Jin on Arthas, Elohim on Oriel, Bacante on Li Ming, and Sliceblade rounding out the team as Uther.
All right, both teams heading out towards the middle of the map. Looks like Donkeys has the Li Ming as insurance against the top lane cheese if Naventic were to rush it. Not really certain if they're going to be showing 4 bot or not, and Donkey's just taking the defensive positioning on the bottom side.
Now, who's got the better early game here, Dunk? Who's going to be looking to like set the pace right now?
Well, in the 4v4, it's a tough call who's got the better early game because the double support matches up pretty well. If there was a little bit better battery for Ariel, I would say Donkeys has the better early game in the 4v4 lane, but with the Li Ming battery only, you're going to have a hard time generating hope in a lane contested by minions. So I think it's actually relatively even. Now, in the actual team fights early game, Naventic definitely has an advantage until Malthel kind of hits those late game power spikes where he turns into a real threat.
Well, we will see how this is going to go until that first Immortal phase spawns. In the top lane, we do have the Dahaka versus Malthel. Very boring, safe lane there. It all comes down to, again, Bacante. He has to connect. He has to be getting his Oriel the energy she needs to heal. So he's really going to be the star of this game for Donkeys R Us.
It's going to be very important for them. I mean, they like to play with the Ariel, obviously. This is the second game in a row they've done that. With Ariel Uther, you do have a lot of playmaking potential, like snap responses, Crystal Aegis to try to force a disengage. But they still need to be terrified of things like Twilight Dream. And when you're playing Malthel is a hero that kind of needs the gates to be open for him to pop that Tormented Souls, be safe, to just go in and be invincible for a few seconds, more or less, with all that self-sustain he gets. Divine Shield is a great way to enable him to do that, but he still needs to be wary of being connected by the Twilight Dream. I feel if Donkeys force Twilight Dream early in the fights, this is a very, very winnable composition on the side of DRU.
Yeah, any Twilight Dream that doesn't instant kill Malthel is basically good enough for Donkeys to win the team fight in the mid to late game. As long as Uther doesn't get hit by it, there's pretty much no way Malthel dies. So
right now, LZ Gamer's giving up Soap to pressure Naventic's, while Naventic is pressuring the Immortal of Donkeys R Us. Good poke coming out so far onto Jim. He's getting pretty low here and getting body blocked by B-Kid. Jin looking like he's going to be the first blood of this game, and he's going to go down. Oriel go down as well. Nice jobs from Naventic. Get a good hook on the Picante. He's going to get out of there. But with the time that LZ Gamer had in that top lane, the Immortal race is still very close.
Yeah, but the halftime was close enough to the deaths that Donkeys won't quite be able to make it back to the center of the map in time.
Yeah, good point.
And while Ariel doesn't contribute that much to the DPS, not having the Arthas there is going to be devastating. Plus, Donkeys wasn't even positioned. They didn't have Li Ming there. They didn't have Malthel there right when it spawned. So that's going to be a very large Immortal. And
wow, look how fast that dropped
Malthel
when
just
Malthel
does
showed up.
insane damage to
that
Immortals.
Was
like
nuts.
In the past we used to talk about Thrall being a melee assassin that's really good at doing it, and Greymane. Malthel puts them to shame.
Yeah, that was nuts. That dropped like 2,000 HP almost instantly. But it does go over to Naventic here. They've got a reasonable size shield on it. Again, it's first Immortal. It's not fully buffed. They would need a few kills to get something serious here. But here comes Zuna coming in from below. Gets the hook down. Onto Jin into the root stun. And that should be a very dead Arthas. Great play from Naventic.
Yep. That's clean.
Did the Immortals, it overlapped with the root. But did the Immortal Stun connect on the Arthas?
Yeah, it did.
It did.
It definitely connected on the fly.
That was sick. That was a good play.
That's a really nice hook by Zuna there. And this is pretty much exactly what you don't want to happen. If you're Donkeys, you're in this double support comp, you're in danger of falling behind to early snowball due to these Immortals like I spoke about. Getting your Arthas picked off right at the start means they lose complete positioning control on this fort. And a fort with the first Immortal without a Sylvanas on the team, that's quite a lot of value.
Yeah, we do see a fight breaking out here. Biggie getting a little bit low here. LC Gamer getting low in the background. He does end up dodging the hook there. But BK coming out with a monster flank there and going to get that kill on the Malthel. Elohim getting very low as well. iDream and Lunar doing so much damage to him. And that's going to be another 2-for-0 exchange. 5 kills already in 4 minutes for Naventic.
Yeah, the Uther bottom means that there's just not enough tools to save the members of Donkeys on that aggressive dive. And now they're getting pretty much snowballed. Naventic just needs to keep this lead, and if they win the next Immortal, they'll get to spike 10 versus 8 or 9 on the next Immortal phase and probably take down a keep. If they lose the next fight and lose the Immortal, the game goes back to being even, and Donkeys has a really good shot at winning the game. but they're going to get one more chance here on an even talent tier fight. Donkeys really needs to hit level 7 and win the fight over the Immortal, or at least win the race.
Well, we'll see how they're going to claw their way back into this game. They're just about to be on the same talent tier. They're going to get it about the same time the next Immortal phase is spawning, so that's good for them. But Naventic still sitting nicely on a level and a half lead here, and they're getting closer and closer to those heroics. And if they can get a heroic before the Immortal phase is over, that's going to be rough for Donkeys R Us.
Yeah, it's definitely not impossible to take that win. And when it comes to just the actual race potential, they've Lunara's ramping up and Vala's ramped up. The double Hungering Arrow will just eat through those Immortals so quickly. Yes, Malthael does great, but they really kind of have to take that fight to their opponents now. Fortunately, it's 9-7, even talent tier. Still going to have that stat deficit for sure. They're looking for the party bush, and I think this is the right call. If they find someone wander in, but Scouting Drone and Wisp, they are well aware of the shenanigans.
Yeah, that was a good try, though. Oh, nice hook coming out of the Slice Blade. The root was there, and he's getting bursted so fast. Oriole trying to keep him alive, and Slice Blade going to walk out of there. The power of Uther, man. He is one tanky dude.
Yeah, if anyone on that team is going to get hooked, Uther or Arthas are the most likely to be able to survive until the Twilight Dream comes out. Uther, if he does get silenced on the hook, he can actually go down. He won't be able to provide the armor to himself. But without that, and with the Party Brush failing, Naventic's going to take such a huge lead on this Immortal, trigger the halftime probably relatively soon, and they're going to have pressure on the top lane from Lunara's slow push.
Looking to flank again to Tamer Streak. A lot of combo on.
Oh my
god! That
God.
was a snap blow up. It was a beautiful flank in, but I feel like Tomster just wasn't thinking. He was the only player Southwest on the team.
Yeah.
And that was just like you don't think of Uther as the hero that's flanking you. But guess
Right.
what? Guess what? Slice Blade did just that.
No, that was a great combo between Slice Blades, Oriole, and Picante on the Li Ming. They just deleted that. Elheim on the Oriole. They just deleted Mouth. And that gives them the breathing room they needed. They needed that to happen. Now they're winning this Immortal race. They're trying to force this fight. Naventic still doesn't have 10, and this is a 4 versus 5 right now. The Slice Blade's getting very low. They do get the Immortal, but they lost to Uther. Uther Girl's going to be trying to keep up LZ Gamer, but he's trying to get out of there. We do see the stun going down onto him, and that will be the death of LZ. If any more people go down, this could be really bad for them. It looks like Jin should be able to get out of there if no one gets hit by the hook. So, Dunk, a 2-for-0 exchange. You got yourself the Immortal. Does this stall out make it worth it that since you're down without the heroic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think if Donkeys loses the Immortal there, the game gets out of control. Giving up 2 deaths, yeah, it's some meaningful experience. It's unfortunate you won't be able to get that much Immortal value, but they needed to stall this Immortal phase. They needed to get the Immortal win, because even though it won't get much value, it's buying time for them to hit level 10, and that's the most important thing, because Naventic's comp isn't going to just walk up to your forts and bully them down. I mean, they might get some fort damage on bottom, but it's not like they can siege a keep in the 45 seconds they're going to have level 10 advantage. That's just not realistic. With the Immortal, they could have gotten keep. So Donkeys absolutely needed that to come back in the game. They got the fight they were looking for, they found a flank, and it's basically anyone's game now.
Well, they are just about to hit level 10 now. Good hook going down on the Jin. The root does not connect, but the Rain of Vengeance does follow up. Is it enough to kill Jin? No, it is not. That mouth root missing from Tomster is what let Jin walk out of there alive.
Those that up. Every little break they get, allows them to regroup. They have all their heroics at the ready. Both teams do, but this is the closest the experience has been in a while. Level and a half lead for Naventic is definitely a significant lead. They've nearly lost their next fort, and the other lead Naventic still have is the ability to fall back, tap the wells in the event they need to do that during the Immortal phase. And that is quite significant. The Fallen Shaman being picked up at the same time, they'll be cleaned up. Now, it shouldn't be a big issue in this next Immortal phase, but it's really time for this Malthael to find his moment. If he doesn't find it in this next Immortal phase, where they manage to snowball, get some kills, get Leeming, get into reset, start blowing up one after another as Malthael dives deep with Divine Shield or however they decide to approach it, then I feel like this game could quickly just slip out of the hands of Donkeys R Us.
Yeah, Donkeys R Us, with that last win, they kept themselves in the game, but they are not in the lead. They are still in a very awful spot. If Naventic wins this fight, they have lost basically all hope. So I agree with you completely there, Jake. The Immortals phase is spawning. So about 3/4 of a level until Naventic gets that level 13 talent, doing the delayed cap there to just make sure that gets as much pressure as possible. And Naventic going straight for their opponents, Immortals. It looks like they're going to go for the race with Zuna potentially harassing here. But so far, right now, Naventic in the lead on the Immortal damage. Jin rotating down, does not connect the Howling Blast onto Big Impact. Putrid Bile was popped in the flank for Zuna, but not really getting any value there. A hook goes down on the LZ Gamer, though. Divine Shield goes down. Twilight Dream does not hit him because of the Divine Shield, and now Naventic is in a full retreat. Can LZ live through this? It looks like he will be able to pull back, but no kills on either side.
That was the play they needed. It was close to being there, but you saw how Naventic understood that was the moment that they needed. They just backed up. The one Rain of Vengeance that slowed Malthael down, clutch, clean, just a safe disengage.
Yeah. Even though Twilight Dream was wasted, they still
traded for T-Shield, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
Naventic's not too upset about the current heroic situation. It just makes Malthael difficult to deal with when you don't have that Twilight Dream. So we'll have to see how Naventic handles the second half of this Immortal phase.
Well, we're starting to see a bit of that sustained issue we were talking about with the Leeming being the only source of regen for Elohim. These guys are not getting topped up as fast as we would like to be seeing here. And Sliceblade getting picked on really low. Look at Elohim. He still barely has no healing there, and he just barely gets one heal off. But, man, you called it, Dunk. The Leeming is not making this Oriole able to really have any benefit in this game at all.
Yeah, and that's the trouble when you draft Oriole early and you don't end up with a proper battery for her. Now, the 13-11 fight is disadvantageous, but Donkeys needed it. They needed to take that fight.
Absolutely
it's just
essential.
the game's going to get more out of control from here.
They almost need to get lucky or find a pick somehow, but unfortunately the composition doesn't really do that.
Well,
and Naventic has been staying together outside of Dahaka. You don't pick Dahaka.
No, yeah. And, I mean, Naventic even gave them the opportunity back in the game. They gave them the Tomster pickoff. They got their shot.
Yeah.
They just couldn't execute the next fight. They spent too many resources trading down onto the Twilight Dream, and then the follow-up wasn't good enough. Now, basically, Donkeys is playing damage control here. They probably lose the keep. The goal is to not lose the core at this point. And not impossible that Naventic could end, but unlikely, and Donkeys just has to play safe to make sure it doesn't happen, and then hope they can win the next one.
Well, Jin taking a lot of damage here in the front line. Does get hit by that hook there. Will he be able to get out of there? He's healing himself as much as he can. And it looks like Jin's going to be fine for now, but the Immortal... Oh, there goes the Putrid Bile. Jin gets hit with the Crystal Aegis. Picante is solo in the backline. That's going to be the death of Arthas. And there's Immortal still has life left in it. We've had the Hawk solo pushing that bottom lane there. Don't think they'll be able to pressure core. If they can get another hook pick, maybe. They're so close to 16. They might have been able to push that if they got one more kill.
Yeah, they could have postured with the Hawka the whole time maybe and gotten another pick and ended the game, but they took the safe route. Just the overwhelming experience differential.
Nice. Good kill.
It's basically going to end the game eventually here. There's no chance for Donkeys to hit level 16 before the next Immortal phase, so no matter what happens, they will not be able to fight on even talent here. The only way Donkeys could win the next Immortal phase at this point basically is an insane pickoff or Naventic running underneath the core.
The Rain of Vengeance hitting Elohim and Jim. They're trying to kite back. Zuna moving forward to push for his team. And this keep is at half HP.
Oh, it's going down.
Without any siege minions or anything, they were able to take this with that 16 versus 13 advantage.
damage.
And they're winning the team fight,
Dude,
too.
yeah, this is absolutely just insane. They backed up for the moment. They forced out that Tormented Souls as he's trying to go into the drag. Forces Divine Shield towards the tail end of the effectiveness. Twilight Dream will shut down the last two members. Low health bars behind that. Elohim is going to slowly lose that health through the poison damage, and Picante's alive, but it's game over.
Yeah, they're going to get that final keep. They're going to go for the core, and that's going to be a quick 2-0 victory for Naventic. And I also want to say, as much as I love the trash talk people, I don't think Donkeys are played horribly, right? They had a comp that wasn't going to work there, and they were trying to claw their way back in the game. But as the game went on, it just became clear how unimpactful Oriole was with the Leeming damage.
Yeah. I feel like Naventic, as the more experienced team, as the team that plays in the HGC, had a big advantage here. The drafting phase was just so important. Both games, they really shut out the Oriole.
Yeah.
And it seems like Donkeys just